distant future, way down in deep 13. Dr. Forrester and TV's Frank, we're hatching an evil scheme.
Hello, I'm Faith, and welcome to Faith's Take, where I talk about anything and everything that I find interesting. And welcome to my review of episode 603 of MST3K, The Dead Talk Back. This episode was suggested by John Whitehead, and I'm happy to oblige. I find this episode, and many more Season 6 episodes, to be pretty underrated, and I'm hoping to get a few more eyes on it. This is a murder mystery from 1957, or should I say was filmed in 1957. However, as I was shocked to find out in my research for the episode, the film wasn't shown anywhere until it was discovered in a warehouse and put on videotape in the 90s, and was immediately tackled by Mike and the crew. That's why if you look it up on IMDb, it confusingly comes with the release date of 1994 tacked onto it. Let's see if there was a reason this wasn't released for nearly 40 years, and dive right into my review of MST3K, episode 603, The Dead Talk Back. We open with Tom breaking it to Mike that he'll never be a world-class dancer, which, I beg to differ, my little red friend. But more importantly, Gypsy decides it's time for a fire drill, and they all slowly walk around the deck in a circle a couple of times. The only really good thing to come out of this cold open is the cute fireman hats Tom and Crow have after it cuts back from commercial sign. And Dr. F has an interesting concept to show off his new Pinpoint marketing scheme. Now, he isn't wrong that marketing has a huge power when it comes to making people interested in a product, but I think he aimed a little too high with his more controversial sell, that being cigarettes. And not just cigs, but Nelson-branded cigarettes, despite the fact Mike doesn't even smoke.
See, Mike, because of that, you could never be a truly world-class dancer.
Okay, I guess.
Huh?
Whoa! Hey!
Okay, people! This is a fire drill! Tom, you get the flashlight!
But this doesn't make any sense. If there were an
Now
actual...
remember to stay in a straight line and proceed in an orderly manner and no talking! Let's go!
There really is no place to go.
Well, still, we gotta meet code. You guys look ridiculous.
Jealous.
I am not.
R2.
Kids, I'd like to demonstrate how business and science walk hand in sweaty hand. Hypothesis. Anything can be sold to anyone via my new process of pinpoint marketing. My product? Oh, anything will do. Say, cigarettes? Frank? Oh, give him the hard sell, Frank.
Nelson cigarettes for the spirit of Nelson and all of us.
Prepare to witness pinpoint.
Cool!
You look at that.
Mike, it's you! And you're cool!
Yeah, but I don't smoke.
Well, isn't it time you started?
No, it's bad for you.
Oh, fine. Smoking is bad, and there's no other side to it. That's real open-minded, Mike. Well, your movie this week is a little butt of a film called The Dead Talk Back.
Howdy.
Morning. Oh, geez, Mike, you can get a free Nelson waterbed for just 20,000 proof of purchase. Oh, we got movie time!
Stop that!
We started the experiment with a short today, entitled The Selling Wizard. With a title like that, I don't think you'd ever guess in a million years what the short is trying to sell you. Go ahead, take a second and try to guess. Well, you're wrong! It's freezers for grocery stores. We start with the narrator, who seems to know what he's talking about, who gets interrupted by a mute lady who implies she's a selling wizard, and the narrator just lets her tag along. But I feel he really didn't need her help with this. She doesn't really add anything to the process here, other than pointing at signs and freezers that we were gonna see anyway.
Hi, the name's Merlin, and I would love to see you in this Camaro.
To sell in high volume for high profits.
For high
Frozen
people.
products are manufacturers spend millions on package design.
Yep, this is the result.
But despite a real selling wizard.
Like
Yes,
me.
the success. What? Who are you?
Forget the ice cream. I'll be right back.
You know the answers to merchandising frozen products successfully? Fine. Let's go.
Are you married?
An open invitation to buy.
I dare you not to buy this.
Still another advantage. Or if it's a deluxe superstructure you
Oh,
want.
she's got a big scab on her knee.
Gentlemen, if you please.
You filthy degenerates.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
This attention-getting superstructure to boost the sale of high-profit tie-in items.
Where do I sign? I want it now. Name your
And
price.
Speaking of attention-get, yes, on every count,
Guilty.
Anheuser-Busch Automatic Salesman scores high on sales appeal styling.
Next step, open a grocery store.
And here's the next 14 cubic feet capacity, 17 cubic feet capacity,
1,000,000 cubic feet
21
capacity.
cubic feet capacity, a cabinet with the same sales appeal styling and space-saving capacity, plus the newest refrigeration method yet developed.
Coldness.
Forced air refrigeration with the automatic defrost.
Oh, so the one I bought didn't have that? What is this?
And now, Wizard, And this forced air refrigeration offers unlimited
Where's
choice
my
of
ice
package
cream?
arrangement, regardless of package size. You can move or remove the partitions entirely.
Look, it's up to you. I can't make all your
And here's
decisions.
the time control of. Yes, the development of these features is the result of refrigeration experience combined with personal merchandising knowledge.
Well, not too
Every
personal.
cabinet designed with your needs in mind.
But I need a stove.
With 23 cubic foot capacity,
Bodies stack
accommodates
easily.
92.5 gallons in 2.5 gallon cans stacked 3 high, or 930 Philadelphia pints.
Or a million
And for
thimble-sized
those
pints.
who want 100%, that provides a range of 7 to 22 cubic foot capacity.
How am I ever going to decide?
Designed for promotion specials and heavy store traffic lanes.
It doubles as a toll booth.
Accessible from all four means
Yeah.
increased volume, greater profits
She likes me.
through better merchandising. With
We open this murder mystery with a very boring scene that sounds far better on paper than in execution. We see a couple on a date after dark with a creepy man lurking around watching them. The woman gets out of the guy's car to get into her own vehicle, and the stalker follows slowly behind. She tries the key far too many times before finally taking off, and the lurker fails to nab her before settling for driving his own car. While it seems like it could be at least mildly entertaining, it revolves around characters we don't know, it's shot so incompetently with practically no light on screen, and it has bad music to match, so it all just comes out as pretty drab. After being told this film was based on a true research file, we meet the sort of main character of the film, scientist slash self-proclaimed investigator Henry Krasker, who breaks the fourth wall to tell us about his dreams of one day talking to those who have passed on and speak to them from beyond the grave. He also sounds like your cousin trying to perfect his bad Kermit the Frog impression.
Oh, this is where Aldo Farnese got his start.
Certain actors own their roles. Farnese is Mr. Krasker. Simply brilliant. It's 2 in the morning. I gotta get a better stalking schedule.
Look, been married for 25 years. At least let me get to second base.
The first movie filmed entirely with flashlights.
Come on, Merle. I only got 2 more D cells left.
Sounds like you're flooding. I'm not flooding it.
With 34 cylinders, the cars of yesteryear were impossible to flood.
And creepy AAA is there. Stalking's hard when you don't have a car.
Dumb, stupid. Oh, I gotta go back.
Here's the proper way to start a car.
The motion picture you are about to see is based on a true incident taken from a recent psychic research file.
Wait a minute. Can we go back a bit? I'm a little confused.
Have you been hearing some weird stories recently?
About Chuck Berry?
About telepathy?
I knew you were going to say that.
The fourth dimension?
Or Marilyn McCoo?
Or ghosts?
No, it doesn't ring a bell. We must have the wrong movie.
Me?
You?
Who am I?
Frankly, I've forgotten.
What is metaphysics?
It's really hard.
There's a long, complicated explanation to that question.
Which he'll be happy to give us.
But to make it a radio.
Oh, he's got a Heath kit.
To communicate with the departed.
Gasp!
Oh, it's true. It can be done.
My mom said so.
We could even solve murders by just contacting the murdered.
I'm so lonely.
By going directly to the source.
Leon, what are you doing down there?
Mom, I'm talking to the dead.
Did you look for a job today?
I put in some applications. Lay off.
What?
Nothing.
Stop that. Wow. Jeez.
It's hard for him to make friends, I think.
Perchance someone is buried alive. This makes sure the outside world knows about it.
Yeah. Admittedly, I haven't sold many yet, but I'm hoping...
So even when you're dead, you can annoy people, huh?
Back out on deck, Crow and Tom want to talk to the dead themselves with a radio show and have Mike the Skeptic set up a microphone for them. To Mike's shock, it works, and the bots get calls from a couple of very interesting guests.
You guys realize this is under protest. You just can't talk to the dead.
Can't talk to the dead? Mike, is there no place for mystery or wonder in that stringy heart of yours?
No.
Hello and welcome to the Dead Talk Back, the show that gives you the ultimate last word.
They're not going to call.
Hey, there's our first call. Hello, you're on the air.
Yeah, this is Abe from Illinois, and I was...
Abe, you wouldn't by any chance be the...
Yes, the great emancipator, right. What I'm wondering is if you guys think the Bills are going back to the big dance again this year, and I'll just hang up and listen.
Mr. Lincoln, no.
Okay, we got another call here.
You're on the air.
This is Mr. Churchill from England.
Mr. Churchill, listen, the Iron Curtain is down now. Do you have any thoughts on where our nation...
The Bills don't have the cojones to make it to another ball game.
Unbelievable.
I know. Where does that guy get off saying the Bills won't make it back? If they sign Thurman Thomas and keep their offensive line,
in case anybody drives up and asks, that was Winston Churchill.
The film continues as we're introduced to the rest of our cast, who mostly consist of the other tenants at Crasker's boarding house. This includes a ton of stereotypes, including the elderly landlady, her bland daughter and 2 precocious grandsons, the foreign perv, the weird girl, the overzealous Christian who thinks Harry Potter's evil, the wealthy young guy trying to get on without his moneybags parents, but who will still accept money from them, some forgettable dude who works in a music shop, and Renee, a model who will be dead in just a few minutes. And if you think that's a spoiler, it's not. The film itself gives us a timetable of when she's gonna die. We then see Renee just hanging around for a while. She talks with Crasker, tells the weird girl about her prospects about going on an audition to get a modeling job on a yacht, smokes alone in her room, all while the narrator, the lieutenant in charge of this murder case, gives us her backstory. Coming from meager means, she wanted to live an extravagant lifestyle leading her to modeling, though she clearly isn't very successful yet. She meets the wealthy guy in his room for an encounter we're not privy to, and then makes a mysterious phone call to arrange a meeting that death will keep her from.
Fritz Krueger. One thing on his mind.
Reunification.
So help me, Krueger. If you don't take your blasted eyes off me, I'll throw something at you.
I didn't think it was that obvious.
Sarah Stoll and Sons, Dennis and Ronnie. Husband just disappeared one day.
Oh, there he
Charles
is.
Younger. Strange. Raymond Milburn. From a wealthy family. Refined young man, likes music and the arts. Is separated from his family. He's trying his luck as a radio announcer.
Not going that well.
Hope by...
He'll pay to God for his sinful talk.
You gonna finish
And
that?
superior to all the...
Every movement of the victim was verified as accurate.
To make these lovely pewter figurines.
He doesn't worry me as much as Krueger. I know it's none of my business, but if he ever tries to get funny, just call out, huh?
And I'll get someone.
Well, so far, all he's ever done is just look.
Say, you wouldn't be interested in the radio that could... Nah.
I'm bored silly.
Yeah.
What's the matter with you lately, Renee? For the last couple of
Don't
months...
you start on me now.
It's not all glamour being a Fleet Farm underwear model, you know.
I have an appointment tomorrow with the Saul Tubbins agency. If it works out, it'll mean a week's work on a yacht. They're taking a whole crew down to Catalina. Models, electricians, photographers.
Pipe fitters.
It's for a national mag.
Snake handlers.
But with my luck...
Teppanyaki chefs.
From Renee Caldwell's strange behavior, we assumed that she was in some sort of serious trouble and in no mood to discuss her worries with her friend of many years.
Or that weird girl who just left her room.
She had 45 minutes more
Till Roseanne.
to live.
Oh, sorry.
We thought that she spent the last moments in her room and that she saw no one during that time.
No one.
We were later proved wrong.
Why'd you bring it up?
Her background. Her father died when she was 7.
Boo-hoo.
And a violent death was to be her destiny. I'm a police lieutenant in charge of reconstruction of the evening's events and finding her murderer.
I probably should have told you that earlier. I admit it.
I've got to talk to you. It's very important.
I think I'm a chicken.
I don't have the time.
The landlady and her daughter were sitting just 30 feet away from where the murder was to take place 25 minutes from now.
You know, the murder's not going to be that suspenseful when it happens. Well, let's see. 14 minutes to live. Wonder if I can get a pizza in that time.
Hi.
Hi.
I know I'm not supposed to call you there.
You being Amish and all.
Look.
We see Renee getting ready for her rendezvous, while the narrator wonders aloud if she had any idea death would be knocking on her door. She heads onto the porch to hear a man whispering her name, only to be shot in the chest with a crossbow, of all things. The landlady's daughter comes outside to be pushed by someone fleeing the scene and finds Renee's body shish kebabbed onto the house. The police lieutenant and his men, who actually know of, have worked with, and have recruited Krasker for this case, show up to question the daughter and the weird girl about anything they could have seen or heard, and they find 2 pieces of evidence, the crossbow itself and the heel of a man's shoe. We then see a shadowy man who fled the scene toss his busted shoes in the river. Lieutenant Lewis starts to question the other tenants, and starts with the music shop dude at his store, but not before a quick casual bongo interlude.
Thank you for selecting Casual Bongos.
The maiden form woman. You'll never know where she'll be murdered.
The time? 9:18 p.m.
The temperature?
12 minutes of light left. Does a person get a premonition that they're going to die?
Die.
Is there a signal or warning?
Just a voice.
If there was any indication of impending death, Renee Caldwell apparently was not aware of it.
How could she be so stupid?
Renee!
Do you have change for a 10?
Renee!
You're not supposed to be watering. There's a sprinkling ban. Thought you should know.
Shoot that poison arrow through my heart!
Murder by implication.
Tag, you're it, no tag backs.
Wait for it. Get ready. Look it up and down. Now! Yeah.
That's my bolero jacket!
Miss Byington, pull yourself together. I know it's difficult, but I must ask these questions. Time is very important to us. Every moment counts.
Sorry, Lieutenant. I guess you men see this every day.
Actually, it has been a while since the last crossbow murder.
Mrs. Stoll, can't you tell us anything more? Possibly about what the man looked like? You said he was shorter than I am.
And I resent that.
Would you say that he weighed about the same as I do?
It was hard to tell. He had on a big coat.
And no pants that I can remember.
It was dark outside and his hat was pulled down.
Does that sound right?
I don't know what's so good about all that. They show better stuff on television.
Yeah, and they even let you see the body.
Thanks for that little commentary on social mores, kids.
They just don't work that well as gloves.
Sorry to take you away from your laboratory, but we need all the help we can get.
You know anybody?
I left the house about an hour and a half ago.
I had just finished my ironing.
My laboratory is within walking distance from here.
You've been a great help to us in the past.
By staying away.
Though your methods weren't.
Round up all the usual bongo players.
Thank God you're here, officers. They just came in and started that.
Younger, how long you worked at the music store?
I've been working for Mr. Joseph for 7 years.
So your career's really going
You heard
places.
nothing.
Just bongos.
How long you known this Renee? What kind of a girl was she?
And all the time I lived there, I never even talked to her.
I did sculpt her in butter once.
For the second mid-film host segment, our riffers plus gypsies start a band called The Dead, inspired by the title of today's experiment. It all seems to go well until Crow goes into an unending guitar solo so long it leads his bandmates to delve into their hobbies and puts the Mads to sleep.
Tell me why we're dressed like this again?
Mike, remember the name of the movie is The Dead Talk Back? We're the dead, get it?
Been riding on that cosmic freight train, feeling bad. And don't you come around here anymore. And
Ah, thank God!
Holy cow, we got movie signs! Oh, we got movie signs!
The cops continue their investigation with the perv, a creep named Kruger who's been arrested and charged in the past for what he calls bothering a girl, who, according to the lieutenant, was underage.
FBI, open up!
Why don't you just go ahead and pre-arrest him now, Lieutenant? Later on, the cops head to the radio station, playing the lowest of low-key jazz you'll ever hear, to interrogate the wealthy kid as he works there. Turns out he has some family money coming to him and doesn't want the investigation to hamper it from getting there. It also comes out that he dated Renee for a while when he first moved into the boarding house, and that they would get rip-roaring drunk together. He also doesn't have an alibi for the night of the murder, as he was late to work that day since his car stopped right on the highway. They then go on to ask the overzealous Christian about his past and don't really learn much. Also, he completely misquotes John 3:8, with the actual verse being 1 John 3:8, which is entirely different. I'm not sure if they wrote that in on purpose to show he doesn't know what he preaches, or if the writer himself made that mistake, but neither option would surprise me, honestly.
Hey, that's the thing that I used to kill the...
In all my years on the force, I don't think I've ever seen a more vicious murder.
God, I love my job.
Sorry, Steve.
What's your full name?
Esther Hoffman Howard.
Alfred Ludwig Kruger.
Oh, arrest him for the accent.
So where were you?
I had a date. And almost I get to the girl's house, I find I don't have a wallet, so I go back.
I find she is
When I get
racially
there, I see
impure.
all the... Serve any time?
Oh, yeah, just...
3 years.
What was the charge?
A crossbow killing, but I had nothing to do with this one.
Ugh.
Bothering a girl.
Bottling a girl?
But I don't kill nobody.
Unless they really deserve it.
Excuse us, we're kind of recording if you don't mind.
Out of the studio.
This must be some of that crazy rock and roll that the kids are listening to.
Shh, jazz.
What's your present schedule?
Empty.
I fill in at 10 p.m., cut out at 4:30 a.m.
That's why I'm wearing my pajamas.
How long you lived out? Why are you so concerned about keeping us from your parents?
Well, they think I'm at Votech, and it'd break their heart if they knew.
I have some money coming.
Why do you anticipate difficulties?
When I first moved into the house, I dated Renee. You know, a few laughs, that's all.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, know what I mean?
Well, you might as well know. You'll find out anyway.
I'm pregnant.
The only laughs that girl got came from bottles.
Wow.
We put on some dillies.
He works for Dairy Queen?
He told me he got to work about 25 minutes late the night the female was murdered.
Yeah. My car conked out right on the freeway.
Yeah.
Guy came along finally and gave me a push.
Yeah.
Started right off.
Is that a good enough story?
All right, God Jockey, come on along.
What? Invisible Army? I don't see any. Now come along.
So Jesus is my personal savior.
You ever been in jail?
No.
Ever been arrested?
Well, maybe.
John chapter 3, verse 8. He that committeth sin is of the devil, for the devil sinneth from the beginning.
Knock it off. The devil is my brother-in-law. Lay off.
What do you write?
Stories about the forces, good and evil, about God.
Who buys your talent?
I had a story in highlights.
The officers aren't too hopeful as the trail starts to run cold after a week, and one of Renee's childhood friends shows up, disgusted by what's happened. But a lead finally comes to light as the heel of the shoe they found may finally have a match. Though they then mention the company sells like thousands of pairs in this city alone, so I don't know how great of a lead this could really be. They also have some pictures of Renee and get clued into the man who could possibly be responsible for taking them by a lady who I suspect only exists in the film to mildly excite the audience. Lewis and his partner decide to head to the photo studio to question the photographer, a man named Pettini, as they also suspect he could have owned the shoes the heel belonged to. They start to take him to the station when their suspect runs off, leading to a chase scene where Lewis speeds after him, eventually taking him down.
So the water cooler is conveniently located at his desk.
God, I love water. I think I love it too much.
Younger.
Then springtime are you, sir?
Still in his room.
5 men in the house. And only 1.5 million others in this city to work on.
Doing, 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 doing.
We can assume. Come in.
Liberace.
I got it. Renee's had a lot of bad breaks, and I'll admit that she's been pretty wild, but she's done nothing to deserve this.
Well, our evidence shows she did.
The weapon was a sporting type crossbow.
We're checking Renaissance festivals around the country.
And then with its 80-pound pull, it not only pinned that girl to the wall,
it made julienne fries,
but embedded itself 4 inches into a wall stud.
Speaking of studs, that's for me.
Who's Tony?
He works in a studio on Hollywood Boulevard. I think it's right off of Wilcox. His last name's Patini.
Lady.
I used to work with him for a while.
Pardon my spandex.
I'm going to have to take you to my house for further questioning, ma'am.
Mr. Angelus owns the studio, but he hasn't been here for about 6 weeks.
Since I killed
He
him.
and his wife are in New York. Well, we're pretty busy right now, but if it's important...
It's important.
You see, we need our glamour shots as soon as possible.
Hey, neat. Wow.
This day just keeps getting better.
Hi.
Fine. Thanks for your time.
We have a few questions we'd like to ask you.
Excuse me, just gotta run to the Biffy.
Arnold Stang, fugitive.
Good luck. Meet you back here, Roy. The loneliness of the long-distance dweeb.
Now, don't hit down.
Oh, don't hit. I'm wearing glasses.
I'm sorry, I ate all my band candy.
Lewis gets orders to let Patini go, as, while yes, he did buy new shoes recently, that doesn't prove that his missing old ones are connected to the heel they found. Getting desperate to solve the case, Lewis lets Krasker take things into his own hands and uses prototype talking to the dead device to try and reach Renee with all the suspects around to listen in. Lewis even gets Patini to show up as he was caught sneaking around the house. Because going back to the scene of a murder where you're a prime suspect is just the smartest thing a person could do in his situation. Anyway, Krasker gives the detailed instructions about how the device was built, and it'll only work if all involved are patient and cooperative, which takes the misquoting zealot out of the equation as he won't take part in it, and honestly I can't really blame him since A, they're clearly tampering in God's domain, and B, Krasker's little device is literally just a speaker, a glass, and a razor blade tied together. That doesn't really scream scientific or psychic to me.
My history assignment, sir.
Hello, let me have the district attorney's office, please.
The Hi Wade, how are you?
Hello, Morgan. Is Lewis. What do you mean, release Patini?
Get him, let him go. Oh, thought it was something like that.
Well, you heard it.
Actually, I didn't, sir.
Come on, let's get out of here and have a sandwich.
Give my throat more room to pack it away.
Benny's not that great sandwiches is around the corner.
He had every right to destroy his old shoes.
I've done it myself.
He didn't have to keep them.
It's his constitutional right.
You can't hold a man or convict him because he buys a new pair of shoes.
That's the basis of our judicial system.
Nervousness. We can't pin a thing on that guy. No one can identify him. We don't have the shoes to compare the heel with, so we bought a pair of shoes.
Where the hell's my menu?
It's coincidence. It was at this point that our case took a strange turn.
All the suspects moved into my house.
I was baffled and had little more to work on. Dr. Henry Krasker, for years, had been working on an intricate device to communicate with the dead.
I do believe the so-called dead can be contacted.
The dead wannabes.
But only under certain, and most important,
clearance from God.
No light can be permitted. Except for maybe a very small one.
Well, yes or no, which is it?
Why is that?
And if a light should be suddenly turned on, they could go into a coma.
But since they're dead, it doesn't matter.
Why, I've known Renee has been on the other side for just a short while.
So she's probably still unpacking.
For her to be able to...
Would you try?
Please understand.
I'm a magic man.
I'm not a medium.
I'm a petite.
But if the rest of you are...
Hello, Lieutenant Lewis.
And I'm not very happy about it.
The one man I wanted most to observe during the demonstration
was RuPaul.
Tony Patini.
Oh.
Then I dialed the phone carefully after I rechecked the number. Well, I guess I don't have to always tell you everything.
Hello, Miss Byington. Is Don there?
Mom says you can sleep over tonight.
Look, Buck Henry lurks.
Surprise, chiropractors!
Now you get in there and you tell the manager what you took.
I came here to see all the people that have caused me all the trouble. That's the only reason I was out there.
Look, I'm not holding you. As far as I'm concerned, you came here of your own accord.
But I'm being held here against my will.
Ah, he's a shapeshifter.
I have here a speaker, a wine glass, and a razor blade. Now, the reason for these unusual objects is this.
I hate it when weird guys have Mary Kay parties.
If you remember...
While Crow tries to get his guitar solo back on track, Dr. Forrester plays detective himself and interrogates Mike. But it turns out Frank was the one with confessions to make. And at only about a minute long, this has to be my pick for the best segment of this episode.
Oh, hey, it's the Mads. Hey, Crow, the Mads.
Yeah. Oh.
What a relief. What can we do for you guys?
Sit down. I want to ask you a few questions. If you are who you say you are, then I want to know what you did and what happened. No hurry. We've got all the time in the world.
I did it! I did it! I did it!
Did what, Frank?
Everything! I shot JR! I killed that fat barkeep! I'm glad I did it! Glad, I tell you! Glad!
Well, I guess that doesn't really concern me.
We'll be back. Let's get out of here.
The lights get turned down and the scientific seance begins, and while Krasker seems to hear something through the death-defying homemade radio, no one else can. After a couple minutes, the non-existent tension is too much for Patini, though, and he swears Renee was already dead on the porch when he got to the house that night. After Lewis gets the whole story out of him, Krasker proposes a follow-up meeting at his lab the next night. Everyone shows up, and he goes on a spiel about a spirit he believes to be Renee who's been attempting to contact him all day, and he intends to show her presence to the group. And if the situation wasn't weird and morbid enough, he actually has Renee's body in a glass case for the demonstration.
It would be possible through a method known as telekinesis.
Or telekinesis.
Or the moving of objects by... Can you tell us...
Does Betty like me?
What happened on the porch last Monday night?
This past Monday or the one before?
Who? Tell us, who? Who?
Who put the bam in the shamalama ding-dong?
It's important that we know.
To talk to the dead, press 1. If you'd like the Ethereum, the Imperium, or the Emerald Beyond, please hold.
I can't hear it clearly.
It's because it's a razor blade in the glass!
Come on, invisible. Oh!
After just a few minutes in a darkened room,
I was drunk on my ass.
Broke.
I didn't do it. She was dead when I got here. All I was doing was delivering her pictures. I swear it.
Shh, you're gonna spook the
She was dead against the wall when I got here.
Wait, is this Susan's baby shower?
It's the truth. I swear it. I'll sign a statement. Anything.
I'll sign a basketball.
Someone should have gone with him to pick out glasses.
When I got here about 9, I pushed the door open. She wasn't there.
I put her underwear on my
I
head.
laid the pictures on top of the dresser.
I blame myself for that.
I came back down, so I started running.
But then I had no pants on.
I must have caught my heel on the porch step. It ripped off.
We could use a flashback. Remember, this is a motion picture.
The shoes in the river. Let's call a meeting. Tomorrow night at my laboratory.
I think his hair is Bermuda grass.
There'll be no interruptions there.
Transdimensional losers.
9 o'clock.
Dress for movement.
Krasker's lab was a makeshift affair in the basement of a store building a few blocks from the rooming house.
Everybody gives me a quarter because there's a lot of expenses.
Last night, after the demonstration, I came back here to the lab.
Can we get back to our bleak, meaningless lives?
By this method, we can communicate directly with the deceased.
Didn't you cover this in yesterday's lecture, sir?
When I realized that Renee was trying to send a message,
I threw up.
I worked with the freak.
Is this your Lenin?
It's Renee.
Don't rot away, Renee.
Krasker continues turning on gadgets and gizmos when suddenly objects start to hover around the room. He starts to speak into his Talk to the Dead radio, patent pending, as the group begins to get uneased by the apparent supernaturalness of the situation. But then a voice, an actual voice, comes through the radio, and wouldn't you know it, it's Renee. After muttering a few lines, the body lifts its hand to the buried alive button Krasker showed us in the opening and sits up straight. The wealthy radio DJ stands up in shock and admits that he was the killer. It turns out that Renee wasn't just raised from the dead like we might have thought, but it was just the weird girl in a wig, and this was all a trick to wriggle the truth out, and it worked. It's revealed in the confession that he and Renee got married in Tijuana 2 months prior to the murder when they went on a drunken bender. He knew he couldn't admit that to his parents or he'd be cut off, but Renee kept asking for more and more money, even saying she was going to have a baby. Unable to take it anymore, he took his crossbow that he conveniently had and decided to do her in.
Hey, Krasker, your one deal there is kind of floating.
Hold it. That's not supposed to happen.
That belongs to me, thank you.
Hello.
We were all surprised when the Rosetta iron beeped
Hello.
They hung up.
I'm speaking to anyone on the 18 MOC range.
Incredible?
Not really.
Unbelievable?
No.
Thousands. Henry Krasker was a credible man. Brilliant and rational. And I also knew he was something of a showman.
This was clearly an off
But
night.
about his radio device.
Can you hear me clearly?
Otherwise, I could hang up and call back.
I'm trying to be dead. Could you keep it down?
Not very.
Who, Renee? Who?
Well, you know what? I can't remember who killed me. It hardly matters, you know.
Repeat that.
I said,
Ah, my ride's here.
Renee must love Jesus. Huh?
No, not yet. No, you're supposed to be dead.
I'm having a reaction.
Oh, Canada.
So you're not dead.
Never said I was.
I knew this was a trick.
Ah. Yeah. My little corpse. Come
here. What I mean was, it was so obvious I didn't kill you. Oh, boy.
2 months ago.
We were wearing shorts, can you believe
It all started 2 months ago.
Did it start 2 months ago?
If my parents would have found out, they would have cut me off without a cent.
But they're dirt poor, so I don't know why I worried.
And then she demanded more and more.
How do you like it? How do you like it?
I gave her every cent I had. And she threatened to tell my dad.
Now I understand. I might have
He
iced
was
her
no
myself.
good. Where did you... Then came the payoff.
Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret.
She said she was going to have a baby. If that was true, I knew it couldn't have been mine.
I took some shrapnel down. Well,
I knew she was chasing after she left my room.
I started sharpening a curtain rod and everything just snowballed.
Narrow out of a window rod.
Trick I learned from the Apache.
And I sharpened it.
It was I that insisted on substituting hope instead of Renee's body.
I have to take credit for that.
You know, Henry, will man ever be able to contact the other side with a machine? Will the dead talk back?
He said it! We end the episode with Mike attempting to read a letter, while Crow keeps noodling on the guitar, Tom dramatically narrates about death, and Gypsy starts another fire drill.
Almost done, Mikey. Well, done or not, I'm going to read a letter. Put this up on Still Store. This one is from Matt Klein.
When Matt Klein sat down to write his letter to the satellite of love, little did he know he had only 17 minutes to live.
Hey, Servo, that's not true, Matt. Long live Micro and Servo.
Fire, she said.
To borrow a quote from Neil Young. Did you knock that off, or was it Neil Bush? Long may you run.
Run, he said.
Stop that. Would you cut that? Simon Theodore Alvin!
This episode is fantastic, and not enough people in the fandom seem to talk about it, hence why way back in my top 20 underrated episodes list it made number 15. It's a great entry to watch in October, what with it being a black and white murder mystery and all. The riffing is solid throughout the whole thing, I can't think of a single scene where it drags, plus a goofy short is always a welcomed addition in my book. While a few of the host segments are, just okay, just kind of filler to get back to the film, the Dr. F playing detective one is worth the price of admission. This is one that I would suggest for any time of year, but especially now that spook season is here. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and huge thanks to all of my Undead Patreon supporters, including Jackie Ball and Kevin Nata. I have a few more Halloween reviews and Google image videos planned for this month, so look forward to a few more spooks around here. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys later.
For Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Nothing happens now.